You're this perp back with another video. Just got done watching episode 6 of Snowfall season 4. Things are getting really interesting with this episode, and this season overall has been really solid. It's definitely turning out to be one of my best seasons, or I should say favorite seasons so far. I really like season 3. I know a lot of people are kind of mixed with that, but I think this is a really strong season. And shout out Snowfall for getting renewed for a 5th season. I think a lot of what's going on in this episode are setting things up for season 5, and I'll get into why. Let's start off with Teddy. And Teddy gets some unfortunate news about his brother dying of a heart attack. And his father didn't let him know about this, didn't even let him go to the funeral. So throughout this episode, you just see kind of Teddy just grieving in not such a good way. I think you're really starting to see the downfall of Teddy's character and just as a whole. Speaking of which, you have Wanda a lot in this episode, which I think they're setting up a lot for her character in the future. She's getting herself better. She's kind of gone through the withdrawals. But we'll get back to Wanda very shortly, as Peaches is back in the mix of things, because Franklin has nobody to really protect him or watch over him. But he does get pressed by the cops, and the cops are like, you got to turn over Leon or things are going to get bad for you and whatnot, and we're not going to stop coming. So before we get to that, because Franklin decides, we got to give up Fatback, we get some really interesting information with, Khadijah, Manboy, and Scully. So Khadijah kind of lets it slip that, Manboy wants to figure out who Franklin's plug is, which I feel like Manboy's going to figure out who Franklin's plug is by the end of this season. But Khadijah is kind of fed up with these two. You got Scully trying to be a born again Christian because he felt like this was karma for him crucifying somebody. So she decides to take manners into her own hands. We'll get back to that very shortly in this review. Going over to Louis and Jerome, they go to Little Rock to visit Louis' cousin or relative. We meet Johnny, and she pretty much kind of shows her the ropes and pretty much shows her how to cook crack and how to get rich real quick. And Johnny seems like he's the kind of smart one out of the bunch. Kind of questions like, I noticed all the violence in LA, and what are you trying to get us into? He really questions everything, and just, it's really interesting to me. And I think this is going to be set up for season 5. I think this is going to kind of come back into play later. Louis also tells them, you cannot smoke this at all, because I've seen this stuff do some crazy things to people. And just at their little time down at Little Rock, there's kind of been this friction between these two characters. And Jerome doesn't really know what's going on with Louis. She's like, you got everything. You got the money, you got the cars, you got this high style, this high lifestyle. But before they leave Little Rock, this is where Louis pretty much comes clean and tells Jerome, Franklin's working for the CIA. He's working for government. And, she's been holding out on him for a year now. And I'm wondering what Jerome's going to do or say to Franklin in this case, because now they're pretty much trapped. They can't really go nowhere. And I think Franklin is aware of this too as well. And he's trying to find his way out of all of this. Jumping back to LA, Wanda's getting out of the hospital. She's looking more healthy. She doesn't really have nowhere to really go. We'll get back to that very shortly throughout this review. Going to Franklin and Leon, they go to visit Fatback, and they pretty much tell Fatback, yo, you gotta take this rap for us to kind of get this heat off us. And Fatback's mad loyal, and I feel bad, man. I really feel bad for Fatback because he realizes like this is not gonna go over well for him. But he ends up, just agreeing to it anyways. So now he goes to turn himself in to the police. They also see on the news now that his bail's like $1 million. Franklin's like, don't worry about it, we'll get him out, no problem. Leon gets a call from Wanda saying like, do you have anywhere I could stay or anything, and just looking for help because she doesn't want to go back onto the streets and use again. So Leon tells her where to go. Get that back to that later. But speaking of Khadijah, going back to her, she's cooking up something. She's got like bleach and all this stuff, and Fatback ends up getting bailed out, and man, does he fall for the okey doke as this random female that he's never seen picks him up, drives him off to this like abandoned, gets knocked out by Khadijah because that's what she was kind of cooking up. She's she's wild, man. So while Franklin is boo loving with this chick T, his old love, his old high school love interest or whatever, I still think she's suspect. She might be the feds, the way she's acting. Khadijah is sitting there torturing Fatback, ends up killing Fatback, and you see his dead body, and this doesn't go over well with Leon. Leon's kind of flipping out about Franklin because it's like, this is all your fault. And man, I think Franklin's going through his head like, damn, man, he's pretty much kind of numb to all this right now. He doesn't seem to really care. We're just got to see what he does to retaliate by next episode. So the episode ends with Wanda finding her way to Alden's shelter, and this is where Irene pops up. She's looking good, but she comes with threats saying like, I will take down your whole entire family, Franklin, everybody, if you don't just help me write this story. Pretty much blackmailing Alden to just kind of help out with her story and write her report. Which got to see, man. This is really interesting to me. How do y'all feel about Franklin's dad pretty much flipping on him, thinking it's for a good cause? I think that'll get him in trouble. But like I said, I think this is all set up for season 5. Things with Khadijah and Manboy and Scully, those things are getting personal. How do you guys feel like this is all going to play out? And what's the deal with Little Rock? I think that's going to be coming back into play later. Oh, and let me not forget the whole conversation with Teddy and Franklin, at his bar. Teddy was pretty much talking some hot shit to Franklin about replacing him. So, will Teddy and Manboy possibly team up in the future? Who knows? I think Teddy's kind of overstepping his boundaries a tad bit far, so we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know how you felt about this episode. I think this was another solid episode. Can't wait to see how these last few episodes are going to play out, how the finale is going to play out. I think it's going to be pretty dope going forward now. Till next time, I'm out.